Meanwhile, buildings continued to take shape, and equipment was installed in those buildings which were complete. Mr. Fairless made frequent visits to look over the 3,900 acres. This was land that once raised broccoli and spinach, but 20 months after ground was broken, a steel mill was rising. However, much was yet to be done. Huge earth-moving equipment still crawled over the brown earth. Some foundations were still being poured. One building was still but little more than an empty shell of corrugated steel. Considerable steel-making equipment stood waiting to be installed. True, much was yet to be done, but much had also been accomplished. And there were unmistakable signs that the completion of the mill was not too far off. Already scrap iron was stockpiled into huge ridges. Already regiments of ingot molds were standing on special railroad cars, waiting to be filled with molten steel. The 5-stand coal reduction mill, the fastest mill of its type, designed to operate at 7,000 feet per minute, or at the express train speed of 80 miles an hour, was ready to go into operation. The most modern smoke and gas cleaning equipment available had been installed on the open hearth furnaces to help keep the atmosphere clear for our neighbors. A mountain of ore stood ready for the blast furnaces. A coke oven was lighted, brought up to operating temperature, and coke was pushed. Yes, Mr. Fairless found reason to offer congratulations to men typical of the many who were helping to build the new steel mill in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. As time moved on, the profiles of furnaces and mills and installations more and more closely resembled the way the engineers saw them before work began. Completion of the largest fully integrated steel mill to be built at one time was not far off. On December 11th, 1952, less than 2 years after the first spadeful of dirt was lifted from the earth, steel making began. This memorable day started with the christening of the No. 2 blast furnace by Mrs. Benjamin F. Fairless.
The ingenuity and achievements of the men who helped build and are continuing to build American industry never cease to amaze me. My pride in being associated with such men has taken on today a new significance, and I wish to thank those men and to express my sincere appreciation for the privilege of sharing in the progress of this great steel mill which bears my husband's name. It is with a deep sense of honor that has been conferred upon me that I christened this blast furnace the Hazel Furnace of Fairless Works.
tradition of the steel industry is that a furnace be named for a woman. And so this furnace was called Hazel for Mrs. Fairless. In the same tradition, the number 1 blast furnace was named for Nancy, the eldest of the Fairless grandchildren. And so Nancy was chosen to light up her furnace.
Ladies and gentlemen, to say that I am pleased and proud of the honor which has been paid here today to the ladies of the Fairless family would be putting it mildly. Very mildly. Among steel men, of course, a blast furnace is always known as a lady. And it is named for one. Not because the furnace is a thing of shapely beauty, exactly, but because it is inclined, at best, to be somewhat temperamental. In this case, however, I want to assure you that if the Hazel furnace, which we christened a few moments ago, and the Nancy furnace, which we are about to light, should happen to possess the same gentle dispositions and the same energetic characteristics that have been displayed in life by the ladies whose name they bear, then Fairless Works will never have much trouble with its iron. And so, now we come to the moment that all of us have been waiting for. No one can say how long this furnace that we are lighting here will burn. Hopefully, that will be for many, many years to come. But as long as it does burn, it will shine as a living tribute to the vision of the men who have conceived, designed, and built this plant, and to their firm determination that America shall never lack the steel that it needs to grow on, nor the strength that it needs to defend its freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, I shall delay that moment no longer. Let me introduce my eldest granddaughter, Miss Nancy Fairless.
The climax of the day was the pouring of the first Fairless Works steel from one of the 9 open hearths. A highlight of this ceremony was the extending of congratulations and thanks to the men who conceived and planned Fairless Works, and good wishes to the men who will supervise its operation.
The big moment has arrived. You are about to witness the tapping of the first heat of steel made in the new Fairless Works, which bears our family name, and I assure you we are very proud this moment. Carol, will you come forward? In the United States Steel Corporation, everyone must obey safety rules. One of the fundamentals is that if a workman is associated with the handling of hot metal, they must wear safety gloves. So, Carol, if you wish to become a steel worker, it's necessary for you to obey all the safety rules. Therefore, you must put on the gloves. Put on the gloves.
then set off the jet which tapped the open hearth. And the first Fairless Works steel gushed into the ladle. This steel mill can produce 1,800,000 tons of steel a year. Customers, large and small, will finish it into products for our national defense. They will also make it into pipelines, freight cars, bridges, stoves, automobiles, refrigerators, telephone wire, toys, and the thousands of other things we need and use in our daily living. This was the beginning. With this beginning, the new neighbor on the Delaware was in business. In the words of Benjamin Fairless, this is a plant that will go on for 50 or perhaps 100 years to come, pouring steel into the ribs of our nation and wealth into its economic veins.